ushindi kwa ukombozi wetu. Tujitoe wenyewe, tusimame pamoja kulinda uhuru na umoja wetu. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote, tuimbe pamoja, kuenzi shikamano hatima yetu. Tujitoe wenyewe kupambana pamoja, uhuru na umoja vitawale. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima. Tuungane sote na tujibidishe kutoa kilicho bora kwa Afrika. Chimbuko la wanadamu, chemchemi ya utamaduni, tumaini letu wakati wa mafarakano. Enyi bwana na binti wa Afrika, mwili wa jua, mwili wa anga, tuifanye Afrika mti wa uzima.
Hello, how are you, our fellow viewers? Welcome to the Hot Eyes Show. It has been some time, a week or so without Hot Eyes Show. We actually want to thank you for being patient and waiting for this show. As always, don't forget to subscribe on our channels. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and on Facebook of Humanist TV Africa, so that you won't miss any program when it is being beamed live, or when you want to see it as a not as a live, it's still fine. But don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Facebook channel, and TikTok channel, that is at Humanist TV Africa. For inquiries, you can send us an email at info@humanisttvafrica.com, or contact us on the following WhatsApp number +254 74 73 56 6767, or visit our website www.humanisttvafrica.com. Today in Zimbabwe, we are celebrating what we call Robert Gabriel Mugabe National Youth Day. So we are trying to reflect on the legacy of Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Who was Robert Gabriel Mugabe? He was a controversial character, of course. He was a hero to some, and he was a devil to some, of course. It depends with which lenses are you using to look at Robert Gabriel Mugabe. But Robert Gabriel Mugabe was a human person like anyone else. He was also a social justice warrior. Before giving a short or brief reflection about his legacy, I think it would be very, very good to get into his biography. So I will read out what I prepared for you, so that you know who is Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Robert Gabriel Mugabe was a teacher and a liberation leader who became the first prime minister of Zimbabwe, but not the first president. Well, the first president of Zimbabwe was Kenan Banana. Normally, people they think that Mugabe was the first president. He wasn't the first president, and he was born on the 21st of February, 1924, That's why in Zimbabwe they are celebrating today that day, and it was tended to be a National Youth Day. He was born in Kutama area, Zwiba district of Zimbabwe. By then, Zimbabwe was called Southern Rhodesia, which means it was named after Rhodes. And his date of death, actually, he died on the 6th of September 2019. It's a sad situation. And he died actually in Singapore. Luckily, we are presenting on Humanist TV Africa, and the good part, the General Assembly of Humanists this year will be in Singapore, so I'm likely to be there as the presenter. So Robert Gabriel Mugabe was born on the 21st of February in Kutama at a Jesuit mission station in Zimbabwe, which is about 60 kilometers away from Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe. He was the son of Gabriel Matibiri, a migrant worker from Nyasaland. Nyasaland is now called Malawi, and his father had been trained as a carpenter by the Jesuits, and his mother, Bona, belonged to the Shona ethnic group, and she was teaching catechism to the village children at the Jesuit mission. Mugabe had 5 siblings, namely Raphael, Michael, Donald, Sabina, and Bridget. Around 1930, after the expulsion from the mission by the Jesuits, his family was expelled from the mission. Mugabe's family settled in a village about 7 miles away, but Mugabe and the siblings were allowed to continue with their education around the same time. Robert Mugabe's oldest brother, Raphael, died of a suspected diarrhea. A few years later, in 1934, Robert's much-loved older brother, Michael, died at the age of 15. It is suspected that he died after using an insecticide container to drink water. The death greatly affected the family and Mugabe in particular. His father abandoned the family and went to Bulawayo after this incident when Robert Mugabe was just 10 years old. In Bulawayo, that is the southwestern part of Matabeleland of Zimbabwe, which is normally called Matabeleland, Mugabe's father remarried after supporting his family. Mugabe became the oldest child in the depressed family, and Father Jerome O'Hare, a Jesuit priest from Ireland, became Robert Mugabe's surrogate father and nurtured his talents. Robert Mugabe also grew very close to his mother, becoming a favorite, usually friendless. Robert Mugabe spent most of his time on his books, attracting much sarcasm from his siblings and other village children, but gaining much favor and adoration from his mother, missionaries, and teachers. His little playtime, he played tennis, which he seemed to enjoy and good at. However, the few times he lost would frustrate him, leading to immediate self-isolation. As the children teased him mercilessly, Robert became defiant and presumably angry and stuck to his ideas.
Your Excellency,
And if we are to go into his educational years, after completing 6 years of elementary education, in 1941, Mugabe was accepted at Kutama St. Francis Xavier College, graduating in 1945 as a trained teacher. After graduating, he worked at a number of schools, for example, the Daya Mission, and he also met Ndavaning Stoller. In 1949, he got a scholarship to the University of Fort Hare in South Africa. While there, he joined the African National Congress, ANC, which is actually the current ruling party in South Africa, and participated in some critical discussions.
Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Dr. Makengesi Stofile, Chancellor of the University of Fort Hare, the honorable ministers here present, Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Your Worship, the Mayor of Alice Town, distinguished members of the academic community, students of the University of Fort Hare, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. It gives me great pleasure as a former student of this distinguished university to join you on this special day celebrating the centenary of the University of Fort Hare, an institution I personally regard as the cradle of African anti-colonial ideology and a seminal source of African intellectualism. Here I was academically born. And here I was transformed. And here I truly discovered my African identity and African personality. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin. And on behalf of Zimbabwe and on my own behalf, to extend our warmest congratulations to the University of Fort Hare on reaching this important milestone. I also wish to salute the academic staff, past and present, who through their hard work and selfless dedication inscribed this institution in the annals of African history. Ladies and gentlemen, the word hair has a special meaning. It's a little.
That was Robert Gabriel Mugabe talking at the centenary celebration at the university where he graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in History and English in 1952. And in the same year, he went back to Rhodesia, but now Zimbabwe. Mugabe taught at the Roman Catholic Mission School, Driefontein, which is in Mvuma, in 1953, and he was at Highfield Government School in Salisbury in 1954, and he was at Mambo Government School. By then, he had attained his Bachelor of Education degree through correspondence with the University of South Africa, or popularly known as UNISA. Mugabe had also joined some interracial groups like the Capricorn Africa Society. Mugabe moved to Zambia. By then, it was Northern Rhodesia in 1955, and taught at Chalimbana, a training college in Lusaka, for 4 years. While he was studying towards Bachelor of Science degree in Economics with the University of London through correspondence, he then moved to Ghana and taught at St. Mary's Teachers Training College, where he met Sally Efron, his first wife, whom he married in February 1961. While there in 1958, Mugabe completed his economics degree. Mugabe became involved in nationalist politics. In the late 1950s, in Ghana, Mugabe took himself as a Marxist and supported the Ghanaian government's goal of providing equal education opportunities to the previously disadvantaged societies. Mugabe's early days in politics. Robert Mugabe rose to prominence in the 1960s when he became influential in Zimbabwe nationalist politics. In May 1960, he took leave and returned to Salisbury from Ghana with the intention to introduce Sally, his wife, to the mother. During this visit, he came across new realities that had manifested in the country during his absence. Many black families has been replaced and disposed. Majority rule was denied, leading to violent protests by the blacks. Mugabe sympathized with the afflicted, and in July 1960, he agreed to address a crowd at the protest march of 7,000 people that was staged in Salisbury, town more popular known as Stoddart Hall. Stoddart Hall is in Mbare for those who are familiar with Zimbabwe. This protest was against the arrest of a nationalist leader and friend, Leopold Takawira. Using the Ghana example, Mugabe advised the gathering to embrace Marxism in the fight for independence. His appearance and speech paved his appointment as the National Democratic Party as publicity secretary in October 1960. Following the Ghanaian model, Mugabe assembled a militant youth leg to mobilize for black independence in the colonized country. The NDP, the party which I just mentioned, was banned by the colonial government, and some of its leaders were imprisoned following the ban. In 1961, Mugabe and the remaining leaders, under the leadership of Joshua Nkomo, formed the Zimbabwe African People's Union, or ZAP, launched a diplomatic offensive negotiating for independence. Mugabe and others were frustrated by the lack of progressive outcomes, and by April 1961, Mugabe publicly discussed starting a guerrilla war. Mugabe was imprisoned between 1962 and 1974. In September 1962, Mugabe and others were arrested and restricted to their homes for 3 months. Mugabe was charged with making subversive statements in public and was given a bail awaiting trial. Following differences in ideologies and the struggle for power, ZAP split in 1963. Mugabe and others founded the Zimbabwe African National Union, or simply ZAN, in Tanzania in August 1963. Ndabaningi Stole became the president and Mugabe became the Secretary General. On his return to Rhodesia from Tanzania in December 1963, Mugabe was arrested and tried between January and March, and he refused to retract the subversive statement he had made. In March 1964, he was sentenced to 21 months imprisonment, and then later on imprisoned indefinitely after his suspected involvement in some guerrilla attacks against the government of Smith, that is the colonial government. Mugabe was imprisoned at Salisbury prison and also at Wawa prison. He was then also moved to Skombela Detention Center in Kwekwe, and then to Salisbury prison again. While in Harare, he shared, by then Harare was called Salisbury, he shared a prison cell with the nationalists like Ndabaningi Stole, Enos Ngala, and Edgar Tekere. In 1964, while in prison, Mugabe used the secret communication to advance guerrilla operations for liberation from colonial rule. Although in prison, Mugabe continued with his education through correspondence and attained some degrees. He also spent some time educating fellow prisoners around 1964. ZAN and ZAP loyalists fought against each other in townships, and in August 1964, they were banned by Ian Smith's government. While in prison, Mugabe's son the one he had with his first wife from Ghana. The name of the child was Namo the Nika. If we literally translate it into English, it meant troubles of the country. Who had been taken to Ghana by his mother, died at the age of 3, and Mugabe was refused to go and mourn with his wife. While in prison, Mugabe was elected to lead ZANU after a vote of no confidence on Stolle, who was accused of selling out the struggle. Mugabe released in November 1974 after Rhodesia was pressured by South Africa to advance the process of detente with the political moderate governments of Zambia and Tanzania. He had spent about 11 years in prison. So we see that Mugabe was truly a social justice hero. In March 1975, Mugabe, together with Edgar Tekere, assisted by Rekai Tangwena, went into exile. Mugabe was moving to and for guerrilla bases in Mozambique and Zambia. By 1977, he gained trust and loyalty from the commanders of the military wing, and he was in good books with the Eastern countries, with the Middle East and Eastern Europe, but he didn't lose contact with the Western world. However, he maintained good relations with the Western donors, especially Britain, which was against Ian Smith's 1965 unilateral declaration of independence. A number of conflicts happened in his camp in the East part. And there is a lot we can say about Mugabe. In 1980, when Zimbabwe gained its independence, Mugabe became the first prime minister of Zimbabwe, and he's also accused of presiding over the Gukrahund genocide or the Gukrahund massacre, where a number of endeavored people from the western and southern part of Zimbabwe, that is Matabeleland provinces and part of Midlands, were mercilessly being killed, majority of them being Ndebele. And when he met the Catholic Bishop of Bulawayo, of Archdiocese of Bulawayo, by then Henry Cullen, who was from Switzerland, but he was a CMM priest too. And he defined the moment as the moment of madness. Yes, we know we are celebrating his legacy, but as a person, he has his own shadows, and I think we should not actually concentrate much on his shadows. We should have something to learn from his shadows as a people, as a Zimbabwean people, as an African people. And I think it is a good thing today we are celebrating a National Youth Day, which is also a commemoration of the legacy of Robert Gabriel Mugabe. He did a lot for his country. As a young person, he did a lot for his country. As a middle-aged person, he did a lot for his country. As an old person, though, yes, his final years as the president of Zimbabwe might have a number of black spots. Yes, as a person, he can err, and I think if he was going to be alive today, I think it will be the time for him to ask forgiveness to the people of Zimbabwe. But we still have a lot to learn, and Mugabe has managed to be somehow immortalized, and through this day we are immortalizing his works. And the biggest airport in Zimbabwe is called Robert Gabriel Mugabe Airport, and he has moments where he would actually set aside a partisan interest and go for the national interest, especially after the 2008 election, the most disputed election, which actually resulted in the death of a number of people, where he later on came into unit government with the main opposition leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, by then. And then Zimbabwe was under the rule of a shared government of 3 political parties between 2009 and 2013, which I think is a good thing, which we should actually acknowledge, though it came through the negotiation of the international community through the then president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki. Actually, in the interest of time, we can say a lot about Robert Gabriel Mugabe. He, he's somehow actually, by the time he died, he had stopped being a person, but he had become an institution. There's a number of articles which has been written, people talking about Mugabeism, just maybe to say how he fell to how he lost power. In November 2017, various military and ZANU-PF leaders pressured Mugabe to resign. He did so on 21 November 2017. Mugabe did very well in his tertiary education and attained a number of degrees across different fields of study. He also received a number of honorary degrees and awards. Mugabe has also occupied party, national, regional, continental, international official position. Mugabe got a Bachelor of Education degree with the UNISA, as I mentioned earlier on, the Bachelor of Law with the University of London External Program, Masters of Law with the University of London, Master of Science with the University of London, Bachelor of Science with the University of London, and Bachelor of Arts with the University of Fort Hare. We earlier saw the video when he was addressing the centenary celebration of Fort Hare University. He also got the Bachelor of Administration with the University of South Africa, and he had a number of honorary degrees. And in the interest of time, we can't mention them, but these honorary degrees were from all over at the world. And to date, maybe just by the time he died, he had served on a number of national, regional, continental, and international offices. This include to be the Secretary General of the Non-Aligned Movement, that is in September 1986 to September 1989, the Chancellor of all state universities from 1990 up to his resignation, Chairman of the Frontline States that was in 1992, Chairman of the Commonwealth Head of Government meeting in 1991 and up to 1994. And remember, in 1994, he was also knighted by the British government, though they later on stripped off the knighthood. And that is also, he also later on put 2003. He was also the deputy chair of Southern Point, chairperson of the Organization of African Union, that is 1997 to 1998, chairman on politics, etc., and a number of other positions he held. So, in other words, we as the people of Zimbabwe, I do encourage you to reflect on Robert Mugabe, and I actually encourage the authorities to try to keep on immortalizing Robert Gabriel Mugabe, probably through setting up foundation, through setting up scholarships. Yes, if someone is to watch, especially the Western media houses, you would get much of the bad side of Robert Gabriel Mugabe. But I'm saying, like a gene pool, it has white spots and black spots. So Mugabe is a man. He had his own dark spots. So having said this, I let you proceed the conversation on how Mugabe has contributed toward the country, how Mugabe contributed toward Africa, how Mugabe contributed towards the world. We have seen him, how he would challenge the neo-colonialism, the imperial thoughts and other things at international organizations like United Nations and even at African Union. The General Assembly would actually advise. I remember some point he told actually the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon that, can you go and tell those people that we are the majority? And I would like also to take this opportunity as I conclude this program to thank my producer all the way from Kenya, Hussein Baya. Thank you very much for being behind the scene. Thank you very much for everything. I hope we'll go forward working together as we go forward with this show, Hot Eyes Show. Thank you very much. Till we meet again, don't forget to subscribe on our social media channel, that is YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. And for inquiries, you can simply email us. Please, even those who want to say some of their ideas, this is the platform for you. We are here to give you a platform. We are here with free of charge because we want to reach out to humanity, and we want humanity to reach out to humanity as the motto of our TV. Thank you very much, viewers. Stay with us, subscribe. Don't forget.